Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Allegra Edwards about season 2 of Upload, which is going to be available premiering Prime Video March 11th. Welcome back to the show. It's so good to see you.
Thank you. So good to be here, and what a great reason to hop on again.
It's pretty crazy too, because we talked about it a little bit before we started. I mean, we did the first interview 2 years ago, which was when season 1 came out. It feels like way longer than 2 years ago.
I know, doesn't it? It really does. I feel older, wiser, more mature.
Yeah. The cast and crew did, a press day a couple of last week, a press day, and I'm sure that starts to kind of hit you because you're speaking to all these outlets that it's finally coming out. But did it start hitting you like a couple of weeks before, maybe like end of January, knowing that it was 2 months away? Like, has that started hitting you, or is it only starting to hit you now?
Yeah, I think when we did the announcement on Instagram with the new concept art for the show, that made it feel very real. And it was funny, the day that we all shared that was exactly 1 year to the day that we did the photo shoot for that press photo. So it really does feel like this show especially has been a continuing process of really? Now is it happening now? Because if you think about it, I got cast in 2017. So so it's just kind of this slowly baking pie, it's still in the oven.
When does it start hitting you that you're working on a genre-bending show? Is it more evident now in season 2? Because I feel like season 1, there's so much elements. It's funny, it's got the sci-fi component and everything. But I feel like season 2 really is bending a lot. There's a lot with people are going to see the new community and there's just a lot. When do you start noticing that you're working on a genre-bending show? Is it more evident in season 2?
Yeah, I think it was, especially for me. Ingrid, as we find her in season 2, she's in Lakeview, and what that means as Allegra getting to experience that is a lot more of the what I call Iron Man acting. Like the digital manipulation and the green screen and working with an animatronic baby or working with a talking dog. There's just more random cyber stuff for me to do in season 2, so it does make it feel like more of a sci-fi show. On my end, I
don't want to go into spoilers or anything. Everyone's gonna just wait and have to wait and see for March 11th. But maybe we'll see the suit again. I don't know. But that is you know what? I feel like that's like a meme. There's memes about that. When you're in the bathtub, that's a meme. You were a meme for season 1.
Thank you. It's it's an honor that I never knew I wanted, and I'm so happy to have. I will accept it.
Well, you can't be surprised though. That's no,
I'm not surprised at all. And you know what? I think it really did sort of play into the cultural moment globally, that suit in particular, because I was seeing, and this is a little bit darker, but of course we were seeing more people out in public wearing full-on hazmat suits than ever before in the history that we've been alive.
Oh, absolutely. It was more relevant than you would think at that time.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Or people would have to dress up in full, we learned the term PPE, right? Protective gear. That was not in my vocabulary until right around the time that the show came out. So the fact that there was this woman sitting in her tub, covered head to toe in what basically was a scuba suit, it didn't feel so crazy. So of course it felt like, memeable content.
That's the best. The first time we see it, because they set it up they're talking about it and you're like, oh, maybe should we get the suit, and then you don't see it, and then that's oh man, it's so good. So we'll see if it comes back in season 2. We'll have to wait, but
who knows?
Is it weird to do interviews like this where kind of what happens and maybe I know what happens? We don't want to spoil anything, right?
I know, it's really hard, especially when there are some things that I would have thought were spoilers that we were talking about in interviews last week during the press junket. And then there are obvious no-fly zones. But then there's just stuff that I've been excited to talk about. There's stuff that like, there's twists and things that I can't wait for people to see. And it's taken everything in me to just like keep it bottled inside. And, you know, my husband was up in Canada while I was filming he was with me for the first 6 weeks while I was filming season 2. And he had this relationship with finding out what I was filming the day of, where he was like, I mean, you can tell me what's going on, but I'd rather wait and find out in the context of, I mean, I guess you can tell me. He like gets really bummed that he's spoiled, you know, the whole season is spoiled for him because he knows exactly what I'm doing over the course of a shooting week.
So when I got this interview confirmed, I was excited because, you know, I kind of had a specific question I wanted to ask you that you might have been asked about, but maybe not as much, because everyone focuses on, like, I'm sure you do interviews, you're always asked what can we expect from Ingrid this season? What can we expect? Like, how's the storyline going to go? Talk about playing the character, the same stuff. I saw a tweet recently, which I agreed with, about how Ingrid is a fashion icon. Yes. So that's something I want to know in terms of, forget like what's it like playing Ingrid, like you know what I mean? That those are obvious questions to ask you, but like the non-obvious one is, what's it like in terms of that aspect of it, the costume design aspect of it, wearing all those clothes, kind of having to kind of figure out the look, what she's gonna wear in certain like episodes. What's that like for you, the fashion component of Ingrid?
You know, you would think that like the go-to answer would be, it's so much fun and I love it and it's so great to try it on. And that's true. I really do love it. It is fun. And the fittings are sometimes 3 or 4 hours long, and that's not a joke. And that is something that I still enjoy. I really do love fittings. But if I don't have a snack in the middle, then it gets a little weird. You know, I'm like, okay, I should sit down. But the thing that I love most about her wardrobe specifically, and our costume designer, Farnaz, does an incredible job, is that her clothes are her armor, and they actually really are a reflection of what she's trying to communicate about her goals, really. Yeah. And Farnaz really explored that a lot in season 2. You're going to see Ingrid wearing more things that you would think maybe convey like a take me seriously message, you know, or I'm a wifey, or I'm a mama, or I'm a principal at a school. Like, and that was so cool because I have these ideas on the page about what Ingrid is going through and what she's communicating. But how we dress is very specific and personal. And she's choosing outfits and armor that are right in line with her goals. And so you get a little clue about what Ingrid is actually thinking without even hearing what she's saying about it.
I know, absolutely. And it's a good segue. And listen, you know, I'm not going to go into spoilers about the scene, but we're going to drop this like March 11th because I want to talk about this. A little bit. One of my favorite episodes is early on. I love the dinner party episode. Okay, wow. I love it. It's so great. It's so good. So I just kind of want to know about that whole thing because that was like, that seemed like everyone just had a great time with that episode.
Oh, it was great. Dinner party scenes are really hard to shoot regardless. I mean, any scene where there's multiple people seated around a table talking, it's hard for a director sometimes to figure out, how do I keep this fresh and exciting and interesting? And it's just a lot of coverage. So that dinner party scene took 3 or 4 days of shooting just to cover that whole thing. But what was so fun about it is Owen, who plays AI guy, Owen Daniels, there are so many of him in the scene as the cater waiters, this like team of Beauty and the Beast style Be Our Guest waiters, that he'd have to come in from different angles and actually act like a waiter and do it well. But then his body doubles, which are basically just a bunch of men that are his height with red hair, walking around with hats on. So that was one of the first times where I felt like there's so many Owens and so many AIs, and you know, that was really fun. And then also, I don't know if they actually showed this like in close up, but the department, the food styling department and props, the level of detail on our dinners. Like you notice that Luke orders chicken nuggets, but then I don't know if you ever see it, but David Choke orders a turtle, and there was an aquatic turtle on his plate. It was fake. But I'm looking around the table at what everybody's
all detailed, absolutely.
So detailed, and that is.
I'm glad I asked that question. You're passionate about that scene, so that
I really am.
I was like, I have to ask about that. And it's funny you mentioned the AI guy Ingrid. That's almost like a new kind of little like rivalry in Upload, because we have the Alicia Luke rivalry, kind of.
Yeah.
But now you got like a new one a little bit, right?
Well, it's interesting. It totally. I wouldn't call it. I don't know if I'd call it
not rivalry. But
sometimes it depends.
But he's in his own little world, right? Like he's the AI guy, right? He doesn't.
Well, they both are.
Yeah,
they both are actually. And this is something that I didn't realize until talking about the season later. I didn't realize it when I was in it. Funnily enough, they're both very isolated. They're both very isolated people, and they're both. Working with fewer emotional crayons than everybody else is. So the fact that they kind of gravitate towards each other as characters and bounce off of each other makes a lot of sense.
Oh, for sure.
Is really satisfying to watch, and sometimes doesn't go very well. But I love that partnership. I think
Ingrid obviously, has like she's high maintenance for sure, and. No, there's a lot. Like I said, fashion icon. I know Allegra. She likes pizza. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Pizza.
I like pizza. I love pizza. Like who doesn't love pizza?
Surprise, surprise.
Oh man. Well, we know when when this interview has to drop now.
I know. How many episodes have you seen? Have you seen all 7?
I have, yes. I've seen it all. Yeah, I've seen. No, it's amazing, but I had to wait. Like the wait was. I mean, it ends in such a cliffhanger, right? Season 1, right? I mean, you kind of just like you upload yourself and just like what happened, and it's just like done. Then we have to wait, and now it's out, and it's so exciting and everything. I do think that the show also like. This before we wrap up quickly, just like there's 3 elements. There's obviously the sci-fi element that you talked about a little bit, the comedy, like it's so funny, but then there's also kind of the moments that kind of hit hard. I mean, we are like, it is a show in some regard, like about death, you know what I mean? The afterlife and everything. So I think that is there one element out of the 3, like the hard-hitting emotional, the comedy, or the sci-fi, in your opinion, that really kind of stands out, or do they all work together in your opinion?
Yeah, I think the thing that stands out, and I know some of my castmates would agree, is that it's putting moral and ethical questions in front of you without giving you an answer one way or the other. And it's really easy to absorb and to watch, but if you actually let the show kind of work on you, you're left with some lingering questions. Yeah. And it's not heavy-handed and it's not didactic in any way, but it is you think twice, because there are some elements that feel like they could happen. Yeah. And it makes you go, if I were in this position, what would I do? And
do you sometimes forget, though, that like, because it is so funny and it is so amazing and it looks amazing. Do you sometimes forget? Like, I'm curious that it is like about the afterlife and it is about death. Like this, like sometimes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sometimes, especially because, Nathan's dead. Yeah. But wait, is he? What part of him has died and what is still living? And actually he's evolving, even though he's a dead person. He's growing. Does that mean he's dead at all?
It is. Absolutely. That's so true. And it's such a dynamic, complex, amazing show. And I love it. And I'm so excited for people to see season 2, March 11th on Prime Video. Thank you so much for coming back on the show. This was so much fun.
Thank you for having me, Petey. Great questions, and so good to see you.
Absolutely. No, and where can people follow you on social media to keep update with everything? Instagram, right? That's like the main area where you hang out.
Instagram. I just joined TikTok. You can find me Allegra Edwards on TikTok. But Instagram is where I'm usually posting them.
Amazing. This has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. You're going to be able to catch Allegra Edwards in season 2 of Upload as Ingrid, which is dropping on Prime Video March 11th. Until next time, this is Allegra and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.